In our today's class, let us discuss about the particle accelerators. There are different types of particle accelerator. Say for example, cyclotron, betatron. So like this we come across various type of particle accelerator. Then what is meant by cyclotron? Cyclotron is a device which is used to accelerate the charged particles. What type of particle can be accelerated using cyclotron? Positively charged particles like protons or deuterons can be accelerated using cyclotron. Whereas in case of betatron, which is also one of the particle accelerator, it is used to accelerate the charged particle like electrons. But one basic difference is there between cyclotron and betatron. In cyclotron, we make use of electric and magnetic fields. Both the fields are made use. Whereas in case of betatron, we make use of only the magnetic field. Now, cyclotron, device used to accelerate the charged particles like protons, and deuterons. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of accelerating the charged particle? See, the purpose of accelerating the charged particle is to provide high kinetic energy. Using high kinetic energy charged particles, various nuclear reactions can be studied. So, we will study about its use at the end. Now, let us consider its principle. What is the principle on which the cyclotron works? Suppose if I consider frequency of revolution of the charged particle, that means inside this device the charged particle undergoes revolution. It revolves in a spiral path. The number of revolutions made in 1 second. In 1 second, how many revolutions the charged particle makes, that is known as frequency. Whereas time taken to complete only one revolution, that means if the particle starts moving from here, then again to reach back the same point, what time it takes, that is nothing but period. The frequency and the time period of the revolution of the charged particle is independent of velocity and the radius of the path described by the charged particle. This is the principle of cyclotron. Means frequency and revolution of the charged particle, frequency and time period of charged particle undergoing revolution is independent of velocity of the charged particle and radius of the circular path. Traced by the charged particle. So, this is the principle on which the cyclotron works. You know that in cyclotron, positively charged particles like protons or deuterons are used to accelerate. Whereas in betatron, negatively charged particles like electrons are accelerated. Is there any other particle accelerator to accelerate the particle like proton? Definitely, known as hadron collider. Hadron collider is one of the particle accelerator. In fact, it is one of the most powerful particle accelerator in the world, which is used to accelerate the charged particles like protons with a speed almost nearly equal to the speed of the light. And one more basic difference between the cyclotron and as well as betatron is, in case of betatron, the charged particle revolves in a uniform circular path. That means revolves in a circular path of uniform radius. Whereas in cyclotron, the charged particle revolves in a circular path of increasing radii. That means in cyclotron, the charged particle like proton, when it undergoes a revolution, the radius of the circular path continuously goes on increasing. That means overall the proton describes a spiral path in the cyclotron. Now let us study about its construction. It consists of two hollow metallic Ds. This is one D mentioned as D2, this is another D, because this resembles the shape of the letter alphabet D. That is why we call these two as Ds, and it should be hollow. How you can imagine, say for example, if I consider this hollow circular box, if I cut exactly at its center into two pieces, so this portion will act like one D and this portion will act like another D. So this is how two metallic Ds are kept enclosed inside vacuum chamber. Vacuum chamber means where there are no other gas particles. Why the 2D should be kept inside vacuum chamber means the gas particles, other gas particles should not interact with the protons that undergoes revolution inside the 2Ds. There should not be any interaction with the external particle. So that is why the 2Ds are kept enclosed inside a vacuum chamber. Vacuum means it's a region where there is no gas particle. Then one of the D at its bottom has an exit, as an opening here. Through this opening, the charged particle is made to come out. Then what about these dot mark represent? This dot mark represents magnetic field perpendicular to the plane of the Ds or plane of the figure, directed outwards like this. Whereas if the magnetic field is directed inwards, then we used to represent that by means of cross mark. But here the magnetic field is said to be directed outwards, not only that, perpendicular to the plane of the two Ds. How this magnetic field is applied to the two Ds? The magnetic field is applied to the two Ds by means of two powerful magnetic pole pieces. One magnetic pole piece is kept at the front of the D and another magnetic pole piece is kept at the back of the D. So if we assume this as the D, in front of it one magnetic pole piece is kept and at the back of this Ds one more magnetic pole piece is kept. So this is how we produce the magnetic field from back to the front of the Ds. And this is a uniform magnetic field because each dot represents one magnetic line of force directed outwards like this. And you can observe the space between any two magnetic line of force that remains constant. That is how we can say that it is an uniform magnetic field, because uniform magnetic field lines of force, magnetic lines of force are parallel to each other and are equally spaced. Okay. Then the two Ds are connected to an oscillator. Oscillator is a device which supplies high frequency AC by making use of low frequency AC. The purpose of using this oscillator to provide the alternating electric field to these two Ds. Alternating means whose direction keeps changing continuously. If the direction of electric field is from D1 to D2 for some time interval, then again its direction changes from D2 to D1 in the same time interval. So D1 to D2, D2 to D1. This is how the direction of electric field keeps changing, and it can be achieved by making use of oscillator. That means we provide alternating positive and negative potential to the Ds. If this D is negative, at the same time this D will be at positive potential. So the potential keeps reversing, positive, negative. Next this will become positive and this will become negative. So this is how the potential can be altered with the help of the oscillator. Here at the bottom of D1, one metallic plate is kept known as deflecting plate. This deflecting plate is negatively charged. What does it does? It makes the charged particle after undergoing spiral motion, by the time it comes to this position, it is thrown out by means of attraction due to negatively charged particle. That is why it is called as deflecting plate. It makes the charged particle to deflect like this. Instead of making the charged particle to enter back into this D, it makes the charged particle to come out through this exit. Okay, so this is all about the construction of the cyclotron. Now let us study how the cyclotron works. The oscillator and the source are turned on. That means if we switch on the oscillator and also if we switch on the source, now the source starts emitting the charged particle, particularly positively charged particle. S is the source which is kept in the gap between the two Ds. Remember, the two Ds are kept separated by a small gap. In this gap, we keep the source S. What is the source? What actually the source does means it emits the charged particle, positively charged particle or positive ion. Now, once the source starts emitting the ion, at that time, if this D is negative and if this D is positive, then what happens is the charged particle now enters into the D which has got negative potential. Since this D has negative potential, the positively charged particle now enters into D2. Now what happens means inside this D2, the charged particle undergoes circular motion, because here the electric field which is produced by means of oscillator provides the acceleration to the charged particle. And one more thing in which you have to remember is the electric field do not exist inside the Ds. Inside the Ds, electric field is always equal to 0, because electric field do not pass through metallic conductor. This is one of the basic property of electric line of force. So no electric field exists inside the Ds, and since there is no electric field, the charged particle when it enters into any one of the Ds, either to D2 or to D1, do not get affected. It gets affected only by means of magnetic field. Then what is the function of magnetic field? The function of magnetic field is to make the charged particle to move in a circular path. The charged particle, instead of moving straight like this, then it continues to move in the circular path like this. Now it describes semicircular path and comes to this gap again. Because we know that to a magnetic field, whenever a charged particle enters at right angles, then it does not move along straight line, it always describes the circular path. This we have already studied. Here also what happens means, since the direction of magnetic field is directed outwards like this, when the charged particle enters like this, instead of moving straight like this, now what happens? It describes a circular path all around this magnetic field line. That means like this, it describes a circular path. So that is what the magnetic field does. So overall, if the electric field provides the alternating potential to the two Ds, that means positive and negative potential, which helps in accelerating the charged particle, whereas magnetic field makes the charged particle to move in the circular path. Now, when the charged particle comes to this gap again, what happens means, by this time D2 now becomes positive, whereas D1 which was initially positive now gains negative potential. So if this attains positive potential, this attains negative potential. Once again now this charged particle moves towards D1 which has negative potential, and in D1 now it continues to move once again in the circular path. circular path of larger radius. Okay, look here, this radius is different from that of this radius. Again, by the time when the charged particle comes to this gap, again the potential of these two D gets reversed. That means the positive potential now becomes negative potential, whereas this negative potential now becomes positive potential. So like this, the potential keeps reversing. That means the electric field direction keeps reversing. Initially, if it is from D1 to D2, look here, when the particle enters into this D2, if the direction of electric field is from D1 to D2, next when the particle comes to this point, the direction of electric field reverses from D2 to D1. Again, when the particle comes to this point, the direction of electric field will be from once again D1 to D2. So, D1 to D2, D2 to D1, D1 to D2, D2 to D1. So, this is how the electric field keeps reversing the direction, and as a result of that, each time when the particle comes to this gap, it gets accelerated. That means it gains velocity, extra velocity. Due to that, it gets accelerated and its kinetic energy also goes on increasing. So, if particle gains more and more velocity, then certainly its kinetic energy goes on increasing. So, the kinetic energy increases in the gap, whereas inside the D, radius increases. Now, once again, the charged particle now enters into this D and describes a semicircular path like this. Again, by the time it comes to this point, this becomes positive, this becomes negative. Once again, here it gains again extra velocity, then it enters into D1, which is negative. Again, after entering into D1, it describes a semicircular path. So, this process repeats. So, this is how continuously the particle goes on describing the radius, describing the circular path of increasing radii, and its kinetic energy goes on increasing as it gains the velocity when it comes to the gap. So, let us complete this motion now. Now, this is how it completes its motion. That means inside the D, it keeps undergoing circular motion. Overall, the particle describes the spiral path because the radii continuously increases when it enters from one D to another D. So, finally, look here, when the particle comes to the edge of the D, represented this by means of dotted line. So, this is the path of the charged particle moving very close to the boundary or the edge of the D. So, when the charged particle describes a path like this, now again when it enters from this gap to this D, now it does not enters back into the D1 because by the time the charged particle comes to this point, it is attracted by the negative charges of the deflecting plate, but the charged particle do not get attracted to this plate. The reason is by the time the charged particle comes to this point, it will have maximum kinetic energy. So, that maximum kinetic energy is able to overcome the force of attraction by means of deflecting plate. So, that is how though the particle comes close to the deflecting plate, it do not get attracted, but it is thrown out like this. It is ejected out through this exit. So, when it comes out of the exit, then it means to say that it will have a maximum kinetic energy. So, this is how the particle gets accelerated and it attains the maximum kinetic energy. All that we have to understand is overall, each time when it describes a circular path of increasing radii, its velocity increases, thereby kinetic energy also increases, and finally we are able to get the charged particle out of this D having some maximum kinetic energy. Now let us derive the expression for the time period and frequency of the charged particle undergoing motion inside the D. We know that each time when the charged particle comes out of the D, it describes a semicircular path, but overall it traces a spiral path of increasing radii. So, expression for the time period and frequency of the charged particle. Now, let Q be the charge of the particle, positively charged particle known as proton or positive ion. M be the mass of the charged particle. Okay. R be the radius of the path, semicircular path. Now, for any particle to undergo circular motion, what is essential means centripetal force is essential. That means the particle which is undergoing circular motion gains the centripetal force because of Lorentz magnetic force. Look here, though two fields are acting, magnetic and electric field does not produce any effect on the charged particle inside the disk. It produces effect only in the gap. What effect the electric field produces? It makes the charged particle to gain extra velocity and also to gain kinetic energy. So, Lorentz magnetic force is given by Fb equal to QVB sin theta, but theta is equal to 90 degree. Why means since magnetic field B and velocity of the charged particle are perpendicular to each other. Let us see now how the magnetic field and velocity are perpendicular to each other from this figure. Look here, suppose if the charged particle is at this point, then what is its direction of velocity? Its direction of velocity is always tangential to the circular path. So, if V is the velocity, then how is the magnetic field? Magnetic field is like this. Okay, look here, field is directed outwards, whereas the velocity is tangential to the circular path. That means magnetic field and velocity are mutually perpendicular to each other. So, that is why theta equal to 90 degree. We can check this once again at some other point. Say for example here, suppose if the charged particle is at this position, what is its direction of velocity? Means it is tangential. So, if this is the direction of velocity, then this will be the direction of magnetic field. Once again, the magnetic field and the velocity are found to be mutually perpendicular to each other. So, at any point inside the D, it is found that V and B are always perpendicular. Therefore, theta equal to 90 degree. If that is the case, FB becomes equal to QVB sin 90 means QVB, because sin 90 is equal to, this is equal to 1. This magnetic force itself will act as centripetal force to the charged particle which is undergoing circular motion in both of the Ds. So, centripetal force is given by Fc equal to mv square by r. So, this is nothing but centripetal force. Okay. Now, Fb should be equal to Fc, because Lorentz magnetic force itself is nothing but centripetal force. So, I can write like this, but Fb equal to Fc. So, therefore, QVB equal to mv square by r. When V and V gets cancelled, then what is left? V equal to, now velocity QB into r divided by m. This is the velocity of the charged particle which is undergoing motion inside the disc. Okay. So it is found that this velocity directly depends upon the radius of the path, circular path or semicircular path. As the radii of each semicircular path increases, velocity also increases. That is what which happens when charged particle enters from one d to another d through this gap. Each time it gains extra velocity. Not only that, each time the particle describes a circular path of increasing radii. So if radius is increasing, means velocity is also increasing. Look here, if velocity of the charged particle at this point, if it is, let us say v1, and if the velocity of the same charged particle at this point, if it is v2, okay, it is found that v2 is greater than v1 because the path radius got increased. Again, if I consider the charged particle here whose velocity is v3, it is found that v3 is greater than v2. Okay, v3 is greater than v2 because this is the path of increasing radii. So this path radius is greater than this path radius. Therefore, velocity also continuously increases, radii also continuously increases. Thereby, it results in the increase of kinetic energy finally. So this is the velocity of the charged particle, which shows that as r increases, v also increases. Then here, one of the key point in which we have to understand is how the potential of the 2Ds keeps reversing when the particle each time come to this gap. Remember, when the particle describes the semicircular path and comes to this point, by that time the potential of the 2D should get reversed. Then only it is possible for the charged particle to enter into the next D. That means initially if D2 is negative and if D1 is positive, when D2 is negative, the charged particle emitted from the source enters into D2 which has got negative potential. Inside that D, it describes a semicircular path and comes to this point. By the time it comes to this point in the gap, the potential of D2 becomes positive, whereas potential of D1 becomes negative. Again the particle enters into now D1 and it describes a semicircular path, and by the time it comes to the gap again, here D2 becomes negative and D1 becomes positive. How come it is possible? So each time when the charged particle comes to this gap, the potential should keep reversing. Then only it is possible for the charged particle to describe the circular motion inside the D. Of course, the circular motion is not uniform since the radii is continuously increasing, but anyhow the path is circular. So this is possible. That means changing the potential of both the Ds becomes possible only if we adjust the frequency of the oscillator in such a way that the time taken by the charged particle to describe the semicircular path, that means if this is the semicircular path, so to describe the semicircular path, what should be the time taken? Means the time taken is t, and this time should be equal to half of the period of AC. AC means alternating current. In such a way, if we adjust the frequency, then it becomes possible for both the Ds to attain continuously the opposite potentials. So I write like that: time taken to describe semicircular path is given by T equal to path length of semicircle divided by velocity. That means T equal to, suppose if this is the circular path, what is the total length of the circular path? The total length of the circular path is nothing but 2 pi r, entire length of the circle, circumference of the circle. What is the length of half of the circle? half of the circle length is nothing but half of the circumference, pi r. That means divide 2 pi r by 2. 2 pi r divided by 2 means 2 gets cancelled. Pi r is the length of the circle. So path length of semicircle means it is nothing but pi r. Velocity means v. Now let us substitute for v. What is there for v here? Look here. So t equal to pi r divided by v. For v I can write qbr divided by m. So this t equal to pi r m divided by r, and r gets cancelled. So it becomes pi into m q into b. See, this is the time taken by the charge of particle to describe any semicircular path, either this semicircular path or this semicircular path. Okay, but this time should be equal to half of the period of AC, that is t should be equal to half of the period of AC. Look here, there is a difference between the small t and capital T. Let us explain a bit, let us explain little bit at this stage. Suppose if I consider this as the AC cycle, okay, positive half cycle, negative, positive, negative, positive, and so on. So this forms one complete cycle, positive half cycle, negative half cycle together known as one cycle. This is nothing but the waveform of alternating current, that is AC. Suppose if the time taken to complete one cycle like this, right from year to year, one cycle is said to be over. So according to the figure, how many cycles are there? One cycle, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus half. 2.5 cycles I have written in this figure. This is just an example to understand about this. If the time taken to complete one cycle, suppose if it is of, let us say, 0.002 second, okay, 0.002 second, if I consider that as the time period of AC, then adjust the frequency of AC here. How do you adjust? You have to adjust in such a way that the time taken to complete the semicircular path, that is t, should be equal to half of this. Half of this means t by 2 equal to 0.002 divided by 2 means 0.001. So t equal to t by 2. Whatever time the AC needs to complete half cycle, in that half cycle the particle has to describe the semicircular path. Like that, if we set or if we adjust the frequency in the oscillator, then the polarity of the two Ds, that means positive and negative potential, keeps changing alternately by itself. So that is the way of making the direction of electric field or the potential to reverse alternately. So t equal to t by 2, what does it mean? This means time taken to complete semicircular path. Circular path should be equal to half the period of AC, So set the frequency like this in oscillator or using oscillator. If that is the case, then what happens to this equation now? T becomes equal to capital T. Let us consider. What is capital T now? Capital T is equal to 2t, 2 into small t. Substitute for small t. What is small t now? Pi m divided by qb. So this is the expression for the time period of the particle. Time period of the particle means time taken by the charged particle to complete one rotation or one revolution. That means if the charged particle starts moving from here, then to come back to the same point right from year to year to come back to the same point, whatever time it needs, that is known as time period. Then what is the frequency now? Frequency means how many revolutions the particle makes in 1 second. Look here, according to this figure, what is the frequency? Suppose if the time taken to complete this amount of wave is 1 second, right from ear to ear, then according to this figure, I can say that frequency is equal to 1 plus 1 plus half, that means 2.5 Hz, because frequency is nothing but number of cycles completed in 1 second. Let the time be 1 second from ear to ear. In this totally 2.5, that means 2.5 waves are said to be formed. So that is why we say the frequency of this wave is nothing but 2.5 Hz according to this. Okay. Now, frequency of AC. Let us consider now frequency of the charged particle is given by nu equal to 1 by t, reciprocal of the time period. We know that time period and frequency always reciprocate each other. So if that's the case, now substitute for t here. What is the value of t now? Look here, nu equal to 1 by t. T means 2 pi m divided by qb. qb goes to the numerator, then nu is equal to qb divided by 2 pi m. So this is the expression for the frequency of the charged particle which is undergoing circular motion inside the Ds of the cyclotron, and this frequency is also known as cyclotron frequency. Okay, you just observe these two equations carefully. In this equation, velocity term v is not there, radius r is also not there. So same thing appears in this equation also. That means v and r are found to be missing. That means v and r do not exist. This clearly shows that the time period is independent of velocity and as well as radius of the circular path. Similarly, the frequency is also independent of velocity and the radius of the circular path. This is nothing but the principle of the working of the cyclotron. So in the beginning, when we discussed about the principle, we said that the frequency of revolution or the time period of the charged particle does not depends upon the radius of the circular path and also the velocity of the charged particle. So that is what which is appearing in these two equations. No v term and r term. Here also no v term and r term. That means whatever may be the velocity, whatever may be the radius of the circular path, the time period and frequency do not change, that remains constant. So this gives a clear proof to the principle of the cyclotron. Now let us derive the expression for the kinetic energy of the charged particle which is describing circular motion inside the Ds of the cyclotron. You know the expression for kinetic energy which is given by half mv square. V is the velocity and m is the mass of the charged particle. For V, just now we derived an expression. What is that expression? Centripetal force mv square by r is equal to Lorentz magnetic force qvb. So by cancelling one v and v here, so it is found that v is equal to rs. Directly we can substitute for v square. Either you find the value of v or directly for v square you can substitute. Okay, but better you cancel v because here one v is there. So m, if you cross multiply, what do we get? V equal to now qbr divided by m. So qbr divided by m. So 1v and 1v gets cancelled, 1v is left here. So therefore now if I substitute that in this equation, it becomes half m. So v square means q square b square r square by m square. qbr by m whole square. So which is nothing but q m q square b square r square divided by m square, then one m and m gets cancelled. Then if that's the case, then it will be half q square b square r square divided by m. So this is the expression for kinetic energy. So all that I have done is, for V I have substituted QBR divided by M, and I squared all this and I cancelled off 1m, and finally I get this equation. Remember, when will be the kinetic energy maximum? When the particle is at this point, it has some kinetic energy, but when the particle goes to the next path, next semicircular path, its kinetic energy increases. Again, after describing semicircular path, when it comes here, its kinetic energy further increases. Again, when it comes here, further it found to increase. Finally, when the particle comes to the edge or the periphery means edge or boundary. So when the particle comes to the edge of the boundary, at this point, that means while undergoing motion like this, by describing the semicircular path like this, all along this path the particle will have maximum kinetic energy, because at this point, what is the radius of the circular path means, the radius of the circular path is almost equal to the radius of the D. Look here, if I assume the radius of the D as RD, and if I consider the radius of this semicircular path, so right from here, if this semicircular path is R, semicircular path radius is R, and it is found that RD is almost equal to R, because the particle is very close to the edge or the boundary of the D. So radius of the D itself becomes the radius of the semicircular path. So at this point, now the particle will have maximum kinetic energy. So when it comes with maximum kinetic energy into D1, it is thrown out because of the deflection produced due to negatively charged plate. So kinetic energy is maximum only when the charged particle comes close to the boundary or edge of the D. So if R becomes maximum, then kinetic energy also becomes maximum. So this is the maximum radius of the D. Radius of the D equal to radius of the semicircular path, which is nothing but maximum radius. So this is the expression for the kinetic energy, and it is found that very clear from this equation that kinetic energy depends on the radius of the semicircular path, because magnetic field remains constant, mass of the charged particle also remains constant, then charge of the particle also remains constant. Only thing is R is changing continuously since the particle is undergoing spiral motion. For spiral motion, radius always continuously increases. So therefore, kinetic energy depends on R, but the frequency and the time period does not depends upon the radius. Then coming to the uses of the cyclotron. What are the uses of the cyclotron? Cyclotron always produces high kinetic energy particle. This high kinetic energy particle, when it comes out through this exit, then it is made to hit the nucleus. I write one separate figure, only the exit part I write. So this is the exit part. Now when the particle comes out with high kinetic energy, maximum kinetic energy, so it is made to hit on atom or on the nucleus. So it is smashed on the nuclei of different atoms. What is the purpose of making the particle to hit this nuclei? In order to study the structure of the nucleus in deep or in depth, high kinetic energy particle is required. Not only to study the structure of the nucleus, the high kinetic energy particle obtained by means of cyclotron is also used to study the different nuclear reaction. So used to study the structure of the nucleus and also different nuclear reactions. Different nuclear reactions. Okay. It is also used to produce different radioisotopes. So, on one radioisotope, if this high kinetic energy particle is made to it, it will give rise to another radioisotope. And these radioisotopes are used for diagnosis and for the treatment in the hospitals. So, cyclotron are also used to produce different radioisotopes, which are used for diagnosis. Used for medical diagnosis and for the treatment in the hospitals. Okay. The same high kinetic energy particle obtained by making use of cyclotron is used to change the properties of solids. How? The high kinetic energy particle is made to implant inside the solid substance. Suppose if this is the solid substance which has got its original characteristic feature, if I want to alter its characteristic feature, that means if I want to alter its property slightly, I want to modify its property slightly, then what I do is I make some charge particle to enter into these solids forcibly. For that, high kinetic energy particle is required. When high kinetic energy particle hits the target, that means hits the solid substance, then it remains embedded inside it. When once the charge particle goes into the solid substance and remains embedded, then its property gets altered or modified slightly. So, this is how the particle, high kinetic energy particle, can be used to modify the properties of the solids. So, to modify or alter the properties of solids, because all solid substance will have its own original characteristic feature. If you want to alter that, then their atomic structure or chemical structure is to be changed. How it is made possible? By making some extra charge particles to enter into that substance. If the charge particle comes slowly, then it cannot penetrate that solid. If it has to penetrate that solid, then its kinetic energy must be high enough to overcome the opposition made by that solid substance. If high kinetic energy particle strikes that solid substance, then it may penetrate and it may remain inside that solid substance embedded. So, this is how we can alter the property of the solids using the particles, charge particles obtained by means of cyclotron. Thank you.